When me touch down, better broke down.
Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
That's how she became mine and see the
Agada.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyinji.
Okay. Kosa. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Bare
mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birin koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong labe ko.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jang.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kono kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo palindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi man domorol di fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ma fa kendol sotale di.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Of owning your dream homes, EJ Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3, or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings, 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Sanyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464-838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on EJ Investments. EJ Investments, we are first in properties.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibaram.
Alright.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Hello and welcome to the brunch on Kerr Fatou. I'm loving Cham. And I'm joined by video link with Honorable Omar Ceesay, the National Assembly member for Nyamina East, as well as the Honorable Saikouba Jarjue, National Assembly member for Busumbala constituency. And we are hoping, of course, to be joined with by two other National Assembly members, Honorable Usman Silla, as well as the Honorable Alaji Dabo, who both are really struggling with technology to get on board the program. Meanwhile, we set the ball rolling. Our topic this week is the State of Nation address delivered by His Excellency President Adama Barrow at the National Assembly on Thursday, and we will also discuss the current debate in the National Assembly, and that is the constitution draft for a new constitution, which has generated a heated debate and anxiety in the Assembly as well as outside. Honorable gentlemen, welcome to the brunch. Ceesay?
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Saikouba, you can hear me very well.
I'm hearing you.
All right, let me begin with you, Honorable Saikouba Jarjue of Busumbala constituency. You must have taken a lot of time and dedication to the president's speech. I mean, he really made mention of the giant strides his government had taken, but then, of course, he lamented that most, if not all, the activities have been brought to a halt because of the pandemic, which also, according to him, affected the performance of the economy vis-a-vis revenue, etc., etc. But
Hello? I'm not hearing you now. I'm not hearing you. There is a problem with the voice.
They are trying to sort that out.
Are you technicians there? I'm talking to the technician, not a layman like you behind mic.
Okay, welcome back. I think we were struck by internet failure from our side here. Okay, Honorable Saikouba, what I was saying was you probably have listened to the President's statement. In summary, he lamented the fact that most of the activities and programs that have been designed and were due for implementation throughout this period were affected by the pandemic. However, he still believes that a lot of progress would be made in the coming month or so, in the coming year or so. And he also assured the people that the pandemic will not affect the electoral process. For example, the 2021 election, he said, would be held on time and wouldn't be delayed. Now, on reflection, what are your impressions of the President's speech?
Lamin, thank you very much for having me in the show and also for this wonderful question. Lamin, we are all aware that the coronavirus pandemic is affecting the whole global economy. So now it's left to the leaders. What plan B are they going to have to be able to help the people after or within the pandemic? As the progress is going on, all of us are living witness to the effort that the government is doing to control the spread of the virus. That's one is commendable, but still no more adjustments are needed. As he said, it's not a surprise for him to mention the flow down of the economy, especially the tax or the revenue side, where the Gambia depends on the livelihood. But I'm also very happy for him to give the assurance to the Gambian people that despite all the hurdles that we are going to go through or we are going to face after the pandemic, if it ends, still the government is going to remain as it is. Obviously, that means the government is doing good. They have plans that they really want to help, because that's the query that every Gambian would want to hear or want to see. What does our government have as plan B after COVID-19? Because that's what worries me much. As it is now, people are living. Those that are not infected and you are fortunate that you don't die, the life after the COVID should be a consideration. So that was my concern, but he has assured us that everything will be okay. But despite nothing is perfect, I was also expecting for him to lay out, especially to the National Assembly members, because we are the oversight function bodies of the government.
Yes.
For him to lay out the plans that he has, that his government has, that they are going to put in place after COVID-19. Not just to come and tell us that we have plans. We want to see the plans. That I was obviously expecting for him to say every sector, these are the plans we have, because here he has mentioned that the donors are not forthcoming. The local revenue is going down. So if the donors and the local revenue is going down, I was hoping to see the plan they have. They have to help boost up the livelihood of the people. But as he assured us, because every statement from the president is a policy statement, so we will take it from there, and then we're also going to try to extend our side of oversight on those words that he has said. Lamin.
Okay, did it occur to you that he probably doesn't have much to offer, because all what he has said have been in the pipeline, have been stalled by the pandemic, revenue's gone down? How convinced are you that magically, all these achievements that have been, or rather all these targets that have been outlined would be achieved?
I am convinced, but that will depend on what we're going to do. That's why the Constitution allows us to debate, because nothing is perfect. That's why the Constitution allows us to debate. And I expect after the debate, we will have a general concession. And this would be my question or a demand that I will want to put it to my colleagues for the government to come up with a plan, to constructively convince us. Yes, the statement we had from the president, but we want to see tangible plans that constructively, that this is what he means, this is what he says, so that we could be convinced, and then we can also go to the Gambian people, as he said, he wants to assure every Gambian to calm down. So we can also go to our people and tell them, calm down, this is what the president has said, and then constructively or factually we've seen the plan, and we think that is achievable. So that's what I'm convinced as it is now, but it will be clear to have my full conviction is when we, the National Assembly come with a recommendation for him to come back to the Assembly, or anybody that he's going to delegate to come to the Assembly to give us the plan that the government has. Because the Gambia depends heavily on tax and international funding. So if he says the tax is going to go down and the international funding are not forthcoming, then obviously we want to see tangible plans from the side of the government to convince the people.
When you go out to your constituency on this pandemic, what are the feelings that you come across? So what is their opinion as to how the government should intervene to better the livelihood of the people in this pandemic? What kind of stories do you hear? Or what do you see yourself?
You do hear so many stories, many stories which tend you to research sometimes. First, there are convictions that people don't believe that COVID is existing in the country. Some believe that yes, it's here, but the number that the government is giving is not true. That's true. Some say no. They even prefer to go out and get infected than to stay in their houses because government is not doing what they believe the government should do. Some are satisfied with the stand that the government is doing. So it's a cross-cutting issue. Then anybody you try to address or talk to anybody that brings you any version of the story from him or herself. If those that says it's not, they're not true of believe of the pandemic in the country, you try to talk to them and say, let them believe that the pandemic is here. The number, I will sometimes even tell them the number that the government is broadcasting is less than the infected people. Because the government is not testing. People are not going for voluntary tests. So that means they are only giving because of those few numbers that they are testing. So I will tell them, sometimes put it to them that there could be more number of cases of COVID infection in the country. But okay, what government should do also depends on the plan and the resources that they have. I think the government is trying because some time ago, it's not perfect. I even have an observation on that. When I go to the parliament, I'm going to make it very clear because the president has mentioned that they allocated $500 million to Ministry of Health. If you go to health institutions, there are problems. I myself go to institutions. I go to my clinics in my constituency here. They are not being equipped with what they need to fight against coronavirus. If you go to the state institutions, like LVTH, it's a problem there. You go to borderline, it's a problem. But he said they have allocated $5 million to Ministry of Health. I want to hear how was that spent. 500 million. I want to hear how. I want to see a report. How was that spent? Yes, because on the ground, I'm not satisfied with the implementation of the 500 million. And again, there was, I think, 800 million that was spent on the foodstuffs. There are still families, households that are still every day knocking on our doors that they don't have the foodstuff. So how was the assessment done? How were they convinced that those that have are the ones who have, those that didn't have are the ones not to have? I have a question in that. I want to raise that question, and I would want a clarity on that. So if you look at it, nothing is perfect, but government is trying at my own level of my own level of judging. So
basically, you are saying $1.3 billion later, there are no inadequate equipments in the Ministry of Health facilities around the country, and not all the not all the country have got the food. Not all the country. I have a lot of families in my constituency here that are every day coming to me, calling me, knocking on my door, as if I have. So I want to ask the question with the government: how were they able to finalize and say X should have, Y shouldn't have? Because me on the ground, I know X and Y and Z should all have. So what is it? What caused the differences? Good question. Now let's cross over to Honorable Omar Ceesay of the Gambia Democratic Congress, GDC, and the National Assembly for Nyamina East. Honorable, what do you make of the President's speech? I mean, he admitted, of course, that the COVID pandemic is really a problem that has affected government's programs and activities, and revenue will suffer. And, you know, by extension, a lot of things that have been outlined may not happen or will be grossly affected. But he also said that there is hope at the end of the tunnel. Did you believe what he said? Were you impressed?
Well, thank you very much, Lami, for having me. And of course, by way of extension, I will extend my greetings to the right honorable that is part of the program, that is Honorable Saikouba, Jarjue of Shumala. Well, it is important for always us who are actually public figures and of course given the responsibility to handle such positions to be discussing with the general public, especially issues of national importance. Well, regarding the state of public, regarding the state, the president addressing the nation in the National Assembly. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I am saying regarding the president addressing the state in the National Assembly is also very important. But we must understand that it's a constitutional requirement that the president once every year must address the National Assembly to indicate, to tell the National Assembly and of course the entire Gambia, the government's plan. How do they intend to run the government in a particular year? What is more interesting in this, I hold the view that the government was just given a report. Because if we say to address the state or the nations, we expect the president, considering the time, I was expecting that the president would do this early months of the year. Maybe by January, February, or March, the first quarter of the year. Here, the essence of this state of addressing the state is to indicate to the National Assembly members, how do you intend to run your government in the year 2020? And that can only be indicated if you tell the local members from the beginning of the year, so that they can perform their oversight. But waiting up to the end of the year almost, I would say, you are just giving a report in my own observation. Because all that the president was mentioning in the National Assembly, these are just reports that he was actually telling the National Assembly members. Well, there is need for us to take a historical journey because the president did indicate clearly that everything is going down as a result of COVID-19. I must indicate that COVID is real and I definitely believe in it. It's a deadly disease and of course is affecting the economy of this country and of course I would say the world at large. Notwithstanding, if you take a historical journey, one must analyze. This country, the promises that were given in this country during their campaign and the past years that this government already passed through. And there are things that they have achieved that really help the Gambian people as expected. This is very important. You talk of the health sector. I am happy that my right honorable member did indicate that despite the money that we are mentioning in COVID-19, yet this hospital, the hospital within his constituency, are not equipped. Of course, the medications are needed in that hospital are not actually there. But we need to ask ourselves the question. These are things that have been happening even before COVID-19. You talk of the educational system, you talk of the health system, you talk of the agricultural sector, you talk of history and so on. These are challenges that we have been experiencing in this country well before COVID-19. And in my own view, I believe that things were not going accordingly before COVID-19. Now that here is COVID-19, maybe one can just clearly indicate things are going down, things are not going accordingly because of COVID-19. I said I believe in COVID and it's seriously affecting the economy of this country. But the 500 million that the honorable member is talking about, it is crucial. That is a clear indication that this government is not actually responding to the need of the Gambian people. Because if exclusively 500 million is extracted from various ministries or institutions to be given to the Ministry of Health, for them to help to run the health sector of this country, I obviously expect, if not all, but most of the relevant issues that are needed in our health sector, especially equipment and medication, should be provided. It doesn't matter whether that hospital, they have infectious COVID-19 cases or not. But we need to prevent certain things because it's not COVID-19 that can only kill. We of course have HIV/AIDS, we have diarrhea, we have malaria, and sure, these are diseases that can equally kill. So we expect them to better utilize the money as expected. And it is like they are not actually doing this as expected. The Honorable Member, of course, was talking about the food package, that is the 800 million. It's also another problem that this country is experiencing. Do we really distribute? Do we reach the vulnerable people? Do we really need the needy people? Do we actually distribute the food to the people that are really in need of this food? Because I will indicate that everything was politicized, everything was purely protest. Because looking at the statistic that was extracted in order to distribute the food in question, the councils were never involved. And I believe these are the local authorities. They have every information regarding the people right at the grassroots. I would have expected the government to use the councils and the municipalities to ensure that they have a better statistic, they have a comprehensive statistic as to the way and the manner in which they are going to distribute this food. But there is a lot of segregation regarding the food distribution. You get to my area, Yamina East. Most of the people, I will tell you, they are without this food that we are talking about. And what is the guarantee of those individuals that they are going to have this food at the end of the day or in the long run? People were kept in their houses, people were disturbed for so many times. The government kept on promising them that there will be a food package. After 2, 3, 4 months, that's the time they started distributing this food.
All right.
But now that we can clearly see that this actually does not reach to the people that are definitely in need. And the other point that I must indicate, the government indicated everything that is actually hindered by COVID-19. But the solutions were never mentioned. The problem, you and I, we know the problem of this country. We know how our health sector is. We know how the educational sector is. We know how the agricultural sector is. The fishery sector, how it is. Land dispute in this country. These are things that we know. We don't need to be told. We know it. So obviously, what I was expecting from the president is for him to comprehensively indicate the plans that are in place that the government is going to undertake in order to run this country, despite COVID-19 and after COVID-19. This is what I was expecting. But it was just a mere report that indicates the problem of this country, which you and I know, but the solutions were never mentioned.
Right. Let me go over to Honorable Saikouba. I don't know, he told me he was in his garden in the bush, but you are off camera. I could only see a mango tree or whatever. You must have been busy talking and tending your seedlings or whatever. Now, let's go over to another aspect that the president talked about. He said, despite all this though, he wants to guarantee the people that the electoral process, and I'm sure you must be interested in that, would however not be affected by the COVID. In other words, his government is not going to take advantage of this COVID thing to delay the electoral programs to their favor, etc. What do you make of that? For example, we have the other Nyamin neighbors to Honorable Ceesay, who are yet to have their by-election. Kerr in the council elections in the Jokadu constituency is also not happening. The IEC is nowhere to be found or heard. What do you yourself, what's your perspective on these things? Don't you think that the electoral process, given the loaded calendar of the IEC, is really risking going behind schedule?
Also very be mindful that is a constitutional. Are we hearing me?
Yes, I can hear
you. Is Honorable Omar Ceesay hearing me too?
Very well.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I just want to make it clear and remind him that yes, as an MP, you would have said that you expect the president to come earlier than this one. That's not a problem. But it's a constitutional mandate that doesn't give any fixed time to the president to come. So that means that's a deficiency that he and me and others need to work on. That we give a timeline. No timeline was given. So it needs to be clear to the public that President coming at this time is not a violation of the Constitution. It is a constitutional mandate for him to come at any time. So I want to clear that one out for him. Asking me the question of the electoral cycle.
Sorry. I never said that is a mandatory thing for the president to come in the early months of the year. I never said. I am saying I was expecting.
You said you expect him to come.
All right, we get it clear. We got that clear. Okay. Ideally, he would have loved him to come at the beginning of the year. But like you said, there is no mandatory, how to call it, obligation on the president to come. Okay, all right, we get that clear. Okay,
to come at any given time.
We move on.
That's very clear. Asking about the electoral cycle, giving reference to the expected by-election that Gambia should have conducted, the IEC should have conducted, but they didn't do. And I don't know. I tend to be informed or rectified. But I didn't hear any communication from IEC whatsoever. That's the reason why they didn't conduct those elections.
You did not hear them say that they are waiting for health clearance to continue. That was clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
They were waiting for medical clearance.
Yes, they said that.
Yeah, that could be a factor, because probably at that time that it was due for by-election, the country was not ready to be able to provide the equipment, the needy materials. But if the president is giving assurance, come 2021, it will not change. That means his government has a plan that to provide the required medical materials that can allow the Minister of Health to give assurance or give the leeway to the IEC to conduct election. So I am convinced, and I am very sure, and I will also hope for him to stick to that. Let not the electoral cycle 2021 not be changed, because he has given it. I take it as a policy statement. I am assured, I am convinced that he and his government is working on with the regulations, or the requirements that Ministry of Health might put in place for the government to provide before they could allow public gatherings like campaign and elections to take place. So if the president says he assured, then I am assured, and I'm convinced too. Yes.
Honorable Ceesay, very briefly, I know your thoughts on these things have been very well articulated time and time, that the people of Nyamina deserve to have an election. But generally, in a broader perspective, the president is saying that he will not use, or his government will not use COVID-19 pandemics an excuse to delay, postpone, elections, for example, the 2021 elections. Well, are you not assured?
Well, thank you very much. First, I'll start with the issue of Nyamina West. I think the late Honorable Member obviously, we were expecting to have that election done ever since. But as a result of COVID-19, when the COVID-19 was actually in this country, then the IEC decided to postpone the elections. Notwithstanding, I still hold the view, considering what the President said in the National Assembly, despite COVID-19, the 2021 election will be held. I also hold the view that then the Nyamina West elections should also be held despite COVID-19. A constituency that is less than 6,000 votes, obviously, if the President can take actually the vote, if the President can assure this country that 2021 election will be held despite COVID-19, I will also commit the President to ask IEC to conduct the election in Nyamina West despite COVID-19 as soon as possible, considering the situation that we are experiencing now in this country, especially the draft constitution. Because they need a representative, they have issues that they actually want to address in the National Assembly. And it is only their representative that can take a vote. It is only their representative that can view out as to the way they want to be governed. And of course, it is their representative that can enlighten them about what this constitution entails. So therefore, I will commit the government to task IEC to do that as soon as possible. Again, the president saying the 2021 election will be held, that is not a doubt. Of course, that we know I was this is something that even whereas the president did not say this is something that I was expecting.
No, but there were indications. So let's say passing comments that perhaps the president might try to use the pandemic to, for example, delay the election so that he can get his yet to be launched NPP on a much firmer footing.
Well, you see, we must understand what actually is happening within the world. Despite COVID-19, of course, even when the president was yet to indicate, we have seen in other countries they are campaigning and wanting to have their election done. And coronavirus, of course, is affecting their economy and every aspect of their government. So obviously, that alone is a clear example to me and really convinced me that this country also must have their election 2021 despite COVID-19. This is not just a surprise thing to me. Maybe people who were saying this are not prominent individuals from the government. Maybe other individuals were just anticipating. But I was really expecting this. It's not a surprise to me that we need to hold. We should hold our election in 2021.
Right, let's change the topic, but we stay still in the National Assembly because Honorable Saikouba Jarjue, you guys have started debating on the draft constitution. Very important. I cannot see Honorable Jarjue now. I think he must have had internet problems or so. So we will then go to Honorable Ceesay. What I was saying that you guys have started debating the draft for the new constitution. I mean, there have been a lot of talks. There are even talks that you, the National Assembly, may have your misgivings, doubts, and your opinions, but at the end of it, you cannot do anything with the documents. That is one argument that legal people have put forward. We don't know how sound or accurate that is. But then, so far, we have seen that there have been different positions emerging. In fact, some people in the public were even beginning to be anxious as to whether there might be people who may not be interested in passing this constitution because of one partisan consideration or the other. You made a famous comment, in the National Assembly, saying, defending the document. But there are other people who feel that, like the National Assembly member for Fonyi, Councillor, for example, said that he would prefer the 1997 constitution to this one. What makes you convinced that this constitution, apart from the rhetorics and sentiments that is too expensive to be dumped, what are the other valid reasons you think this constitution should pass?
Well, thank you very much. I didn't get everything that you said, but I believe you. I understand the direction we are trying to move into. It is important that the Gambia, we start discussing this comprehensively, because we are in a time that the entire Gambian people, I would say, they have been crying to have this reform done. And the National Assembly, by an act of parliament, we asked the CRC, we empowered them to go around all over the country to consult people, to consult stakeholders, to consult institutions and so on, to capture, for them to better define the way and the manner in which they want to be governed. And this was done not just within the four corners of this country, but beyond the country as well. So the CRC, everything, single element that is within that constitution is not just the imagination of the CRC. It's not just their own belief, it's not just something that they just want to have it done. But it's the view of the Gambian people, it's the norms and the values of the Gambian people. It is actually what the Gambian wants as long as the draft is concerned. So obviously, if something is done in that way, and now that it is brought in the National Assembly, I don't have doubt in my mind when issues started coming from different members. Yeah. Every individual, even you and I, we have issues as long as that document is concerned. When the CRC was going around to consult people, people have divergent views. People have different opinions. But like I said, in every gathering, majority carry the vote. So every clause, every provision, every section of that constitution is actually something that is carried by the majority. That is why it is there. So it is important. If such a document is before the National Assembly, which we were crying for, because we believe there are a lot of issues, bad laws, that are within the 1997 Constitution. That is why this reform was done.
Yeah.
So for National Assembly members also to have this Constitution passed, it is something that is very important. Because your issue and my issue, and the people outside there, not everything can be captured in this Constitution. That we must always make it clear to the people. That not everything that you and I want it to be part of that Constitution cannot be there. But I believe, I hold the view that most of the relevant issues, of course, are captured by the CRC.
Okay. Now, what do you make of critical observations from your own colleagues, for example, echoing the fact that the dates for the starting of the second term, which in this draft really should start with this current term of this current incumbent, which to explain really means that this current president can only contest one more time if he wins the 2021 election. I mean, we have members of his cabinet who have expressed concern that that clause may be discriminatory to the current president, which happens to be Adama Barrow. Now, do you think it is a valid argument for the Constitution, not to start that law, not to start with the past? Instead, it should be always looking forward. That was the argument of the critics. Isn't that not a valid point?
Of course, it's a valid point, and I must indicate that I am deeply disappointed by the cabinet having established, having invested so much money, having considering the time, of course, that DCRC undertook to ensure that we have this Constitution drafted, just because of that provision, just because of that clause of the Constitution, just because of that section of the Constitution. They just want to have this Constitution thrown away out there. We must take a historical journey, if we must take a historical journey.
We must clear that the cabinet or whoever raised this issue are not against two terms. That's clear. But what they do not feel comfortable is beginning this, law within the current term. In other words, counting President Barrow's first term as part of two terms. That's where the trouble is. So they are not against. They are not against two terms.
Very well. I agree with you that they are not against the Constitution entirely. But can I put it to you?
Yeah.
Can I put it to you that now, if the government people agreed to have this current term of the president inclusive in the Constitution, what is going to be the position of the cabinet, if I may ask?
Well, the cabinet paper, which was submitted to the CRC after the initial consultation, was that they felt that they are not against two terms. That one they agree with, but to start the two term, counting it from this current term of the president, they feel that is discriminatory against the incumbent, whoever the incumbent is. It just happened that it's Adama Barrow, but they are trying to say that whoever the incumbent is right now, that law is discriminating that person. So that's their argument.
Like I said, every institution was given a position paper. All these institutions that you are seeing, including the National Assembly, we gave position paper to the CRC.
Yeah.
And I can clearly indicate to you that not everything that was written on that position paper was captured in that draft Constitution. If you are not aware of that.
Okay.
So, like I said, after giving a position paper, the Gambians also they have a view regarding your position paper. So this were a question like the issue of nomination and so on.
Okay, all right.
This is an issue concerning the National Assembly, but the Gambian people also they have said as long as the nomination of other members are concerned.
Now let me ask you this question: what then can the National Assembly members like you do with this document? For example, are you at the end of the day going to vote to get it stopped on its tracks before it gets to referendum? If you have any such powers, can you enlighten us?
Yes. Well, as long as Section 2264 of the draft of the 1997 Constitution is concerned, the National Assembly, for this Constitution now to move from the second reading to the third reading up to the level of referendum, obviously we need three-quarters of the National Assembly members to vote in favor of the Constitution after the debate. That is the debate that we are dealing with now. And we are obviously on the second reading of the draft Constitution. After the debate of the draft Constitution, according to Section 2264 of the 1997 Constitution, we need 42 members of the National Assembly to vote in favor of the Constitution for each move from this stage to the third reading.
Now, in the event you don't have 42 members to vote for that, what will happen to the document? That will be the coffin for this document, isn't it?
Very well.
Exactly. It will die.
Exactly.
It will die.
Exactly.
After $130 million and a whole 3 or 4 years of processing.
That is my worry, Lavin Cham. I am not a legal, I don't interpret law. I'm not a legal expert, that I must confess. But from the basic understanding of that provision that I understand and the little consultation that I made, it is a constitutional provision that for the Constitution to pass from the second reading and the third reading, the Constitution must enjoy 42 votes from the members that are in favor of that Constitution. If that is not done, then maybe legal experts, they can challenge this before the court to say that the Constitution does not enjoy that 42 members vote in order to move to the next level. So obviously, after so much money, after everything, just because of one thing to not make you vote against the Constitution. Because these are things, there is no law that is saying that in the long run, we cannot make amendment to that Constitution. Yes, I understand that we don't also want to keep on making amendments to this Constitution like the 1997 Constitution. That undergone for 53 amendments. But if we believe that it's just because of one thing, and we can correct that in the future, then obviously we can have this Constitution voted. And there in the long run, we can maybe correct some of these things that we are talking about. But not that everything there is the view of the Gambian people. Going against the Constitution just because of one thing, you are undermining the will, the wisdom, and of course the aspiration of the Gambian people.
All right, Honorable Saikouba, Jarjue, of course, could not come back for one reason or the other, but he did make it clear that he was actually on his farm. Maybe that has led to problems with connection, but you know, we really expect him to come back. But then, let's go ahead. Now, you know, from many people the Gambian population started getting anxious when they begin to see the formation of a bloc, which according to their statements seemingly are opposed to passing the draft in the National Assembly. You have seen that. From what you have observed, do you think there is really any solid, strong indication that there will be a lot of National Assembly members who will try to block this because it did not suit their, in quotes, political masters, so to speak? Or do you think that at the end of the day, National Assembly members, whatever their views are, will be definitely shy of torpedoing this process just because their masters are not happy with?
Well, let me tell you, there is one thing that we must understand, and we need to enlighten people to know this. I can't remember any institution, any individual from the National Assembly asking when we were establishing or giving the power to the CRC to go out there to draft this constitution so as to suit the interest of one political party or to suit the interest of an individual, be it the president or any other political leader. I can't remember us asking the CRC to do that.
Oh, okay.
And when they were doing their assignment, obviously, they never bear this in mind that they have to suit the interest of the current president or the coming president or the political party of an individual. but to capture the interest of the Gambian people at large. So if that is done, I don't want to point out any individual, as long as the National Assembly is concerned, that Mr. A, B, and C will actually vote against the Constitution. Despite getting the information from other members who are not really in support of the Constitution because of the controversial elements that they have, one can always change his or her mind. So it will be wrong of me to say Mr. A, B, and C is not in favor of the Constitution. What if that person should go ahead and vote in favor of the Constitution because he is convinced outside or by the electorate?
Okay.
So generally, I would say, every National Assembly member, including myself, I must indicate that we all have issues as long as the document is concerned. But that one issue alone should not make me to vote against the entire process.
Okay, so that's a good point. That's what I wanted to put to Honorable Saikouba. Jarjue, unfortunately, he's not yet back on the line. That is, people like him who are seen to be sympathizers of government of the present president's political agenda have been accused of, trying to block the process because they feel A and B, C are not in favor of the president, and that has been expressly communicated, like I tell you, the cabinet paper on those positions. Now, one of them, in fact, made it clear categorically, the Honorable Saikouba of Latrikunda Sabi, who said he's not going to back any law that's going to confine President Barrow to only, 2 terms, starting with this term. That's what he said. So those kind of sentiments have already started coming, and the public are now anxious that, come on, are these parliamentarians now going to vote on the political partisanship considerations and throw away this very expensive document away, or for once they will look at the general interest of the people? Like you said, the population have been consulted, and the majority of them have had their views collected in this document. So if you National Assembly members throw this out because it doesn't suit your political masters, the nation will not forgive you.
Obviously, history will judge one for that. History will judge one for doing that or throwing out this Constitution because you just want to suit the interest of an individual. Let me tell you, see, you must understand one thing. The 2016 coalition government, they campaigned before the entire nation that they want to rule this country for 3 years. And the Gambian people accepted that agenda. The Gambian people have been by that agenda. The Gambian people have been accompanied them to accomplish that agenda. After 1 year, 2 years, then the 3rd year, us expecting that the president will come down, conduct an election, hand over power peacefully, just to be told that it is a constitutional mandate that I must serve for 5 years. You and I and the people out there, most of us, voted not just because the president is competent or the president actually has the charisma in order to run this country, but we believe the members who were surrounding the coalition will get help to have this reform done. And the subject under discussion was one of the most fundamental reforms that the Gambian people were advocating for. I am not in the same party with the UDP, but where are we? How soon can we forget when the UDP members were out on the street or in the street to advocate for some of these laws to be amended? So now that we have the chance, now that we have the opportunity, the privilege is given to us, more so the National Assembly members. Because I must confess that I am not the most capable person to be in that National Assembly, as long as the people of Nyamina East are concerned. It's just a privilege and honor that is given to me to man that position within this period. So obviously I must feature out the interest of the Gambian people, which this government was actually telling the people that the Gambia force, that is why they have to go ahead to have their 5 years completed. And now that we bear that in our mind, we are able to maintain that. We are able to maintain peace in this country despite the promises. Now that the president still wants to just have after 1 term, 2 terms, he still want to go for another 4 term. I did indicate to people that the advocacy, we must understand the rationale behind this Lamin Cham. And the rationale is we are not actually just talking about term limits, but an individual serving 2 terms. It doesn't matter whether this term is inclusive or not. If people understand it in that dynamic, they will accept the rationale.
I got
an individual serving for 2 terms, you have to leave office. This is what we are saying.
Absolutely. Well.
So obviously, if the president should serve, okay.
I get your point. You're actually trying to say that it's a question of morality, whether or not the president or this law is applied retroactively or in the future. It doesn't change the fact that the president would have already served a term before it comes into force. And morally, that should have counted for him as 2 terms, and he should not rely on any legal loophole, to look for another 2 terms. Morally, that's what you are saying. Yeah.
Yes, because the Gambian people sacrifice, the Gambian people fought, the Gambian people risked their life to ensure that we elected them. And now that they are in office, after 3 years, they want to step down from power, we still sacrifice to calm ourselves. So obviously, we expect the president also to sacrifice not to continue for 1 term. That will make it a 3rd term. So obviously, I would expect the president and whosoever is advising the president to have this term inclusive, because that is the belief of the Gambian people, and that is what exactly they want.
Exactly, I get your point now. Now let's move on a little bit. If you remember the issue of the local government amendment bill, when that came up for you people to vote, even though that was simple majority, we saw that some sort of a bloc was formed that really supported that bill, defeating those who didn't want it amended. Now, the people are anxious that the way your debate is going on, this kind of bloc can continue, and in which case, definitely, the assembly will be far short of 42, to get this thing passed. But are you yourself convinced that a number of your colleagues will this time, because of the importance of this matter, will this time not fall in those types of traps? They will actually look at the national interest. In your case, you believe the national interest is to pass this constitution. Do you think this bloc will still emerge, or do you think now some MPs will now begin to think independently and go for the, for the passing of the constitution?
Well, like I said, Lamin Cham, I will not want to point out anybody. I will not want to. Label any bloc out there in the National Assembly that will be in support or against. But I know that I, for one, I am in support of the Constitution, and obviously I know that others who are also in the National Assembly, some of them are in support. But one key thing we must indicate, and I want to be very honest here. The possibility for this constitution to pass or to be passed in the National Assembly is very slim. It's very narrow, the possibility, that I can tell you also. I don't know who and who will be voting against the constitution. That I cannot tell.
Let me help you in buttressing that fear, because that has been the fear of the people when they were following your debates, at least the first 2 days of the debate. Okay, let me help you to buttress your point. You said you fear that the opportunities, the chance for it to pass is slim. And I'm sure this must be premised on the fact that, like I saw the APRC National Assembly member, an influential National Assembly member, Amul Nyan, saying he preferred the 1997 constitution to this one. So if he was speaking for the entire 5 APRC members, which is a reasonable assumption, then you have Honorable Saikouba, who said he's not going to back any law that, seemingly confine President Barrow to just, or count his current term as a 4th term. And if he's speaking on behalf of the 8 renegade National Assembly members expelled by the UDP, and this is a reasonable assumption that they might be speaking one language. So that already gave you more than 13 MPs, and that will, together, they will really, that will form a number that's really going to be far short of the 42 required for it to pass. So, in other words, your fear is shared by many people in the society, in the Gambia right now. But you are the one who is in the National Assembly. Like you said, you won't name anybody. But you've just told us that you fear that the chances for this to pass is slim. Why do you premise that fear?
Very well. Well, listening to the debate, of course, that is going on. Like you said so that if Honorable Saikouba is speaking, the concept of the people that are really supporting the president, of course, the National Assembly members, my good friend, and my right honorable Amul Nyati, as you indicate, if he is, according to what you said, if he is also speaking on behalf of the APRC, so that is a huge number. And just 14 members alone can have this constitution blocked.
All right. So now, I will have to do justice to both of you now. Honorable Sekou Jarjue has just spoken again. I don't know what was the problem. Connection, or you were attending or tending your seedlings again?
Connection was the problem.
I don't know. That means, of course, you were not hearing us. We covered a lot of grounds, but where we are at the moment is that the Gambian people are really apprehensive that the way the debate is going on in the National Assembly, it looks like the Assembly will be short of the 42 number required to pass the Constitution. For example, Honorable Saikouba, who is one of the renegade National Assembly members expelled by the UDP, of which you are one, he said that he's not going to back any law that will confine Mr. Barrow to just another term different from this one. And then you had the Honorable Amul Nyas saying that he preferred the 1977 Constitution to this one. So if he is talking on behalf of the APRC, which is a reasonable assumption, and there are 5, you and your guys are 8. Now, if you really vote, if you vote as Honorable Marong is thinking, and the APRC people vote as Amul Nyas is thinking, that means the 42 number required to pass this thing will not come, and the Gambian people are really apprehensive that this constitution may not pass. You have to take some water because this question is tough. What do you feel about it?
No, it's not tough.
Okay.
It's not tough. Mr. Cham, I want to enlighten my colleagues and the whole general Gambian people.
Which is what we want, yes.
There is nobody in the National Assembly who is not in for the progressive development of this country. We all believe that National Assembly is an institution that nobody and nothing is perfect in their eyes. Because that's the law, that's the mandate given to us by the Constitution. No matter where you come from, whether you are a product of Oxford University, when you come to the National Assembly, we will show you a place of an error. What causes that? Because we have different lenses. Maybe if you present a document or something to us, you present in one way, I will use an eye to look into it.
Okay.
The Constitution, as I'm talking to you, there is no member in the Gambia that is against and doesn't want the draft Constitution to become a law.
Okay.
If it is as people are speculating, excuse me, if it is as people are speculating, pointing fingers to some members, we wouldn't support the act that brings the Constitutional Review Commission. Because during the debate of the Constitutional Review Commission, there is a senior member whom we all respect, who said to him, we would have only amended the 1997 Constitution, the laws that we think that they are draconians, that we can do in the chambers, Those that we cannot do and they are entrenched, we give it to the members, to the public to do a referendum on that.
I see.
But we, the young ones, says no. We want progressive development.
Okay.
We want changes. So we gave mandate to CRC to come with a new constitution. CRC has done a very good job. But as I said before, National Assembly, nothing is perfect in their eyes.
Okay.
So why the law, the 1997 Constitution has mandated the draft Constitution to come to the Assembly is for us to look into the draft Constitution with all these ICs that we have.
I see.
Let me tell you this. I can give you some. We have some are with cultural eyes, some are with religious eyes, some we say national interest eyes, some with political interest.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Can we go a little by a little? Yes, I agree with you. There have been issues,
that's why. That's why. Let me, Mr. Chan, when you requested, I wanted to not to accord any interview about this draft constitution because I didn't speak yet.
Oh yes, you haven't spoken yet.
But when you called me that you want to offer me an interview, I said no problem. I will tell Gambian people. You see, I want to refer my colleagues to Section 226 of the 1997 Constitution.
Which states?
1997 Constitution is a very, very good and very critical constitution.
Wow.
The formulators of that constitution are not stupid. And the former government and all those that formulate that constitution are believe that a time will come, people want to change this constitution. So that's why Section 226 is very critical.
What did it say?
Because of that criticality, I want Section 2262, is it 2, Honorable, if you have with your constitution there?
What did it say
exactly? It says the constitution generally, the constitution talks about for us to promulgate, we need 2/3 of the members.
Okay.
You see how difficult it is?
Yes.
2264.
Yes, exactly.
2/3 of the members at both readings. There has never been a bill that has come to the National Assembly that requests or demands for that number to change.
I see.
Both the second reading and the third reading, you need 75% of the members to support.
Which is 42, according to Omar's calculation.
Which is 42, no problem.
42
75%
of
the population.
42 of the 58 there.
42 of the 53.
Yeah, 57.
But speaker is out of it.
Yeah, 57 then 42 out of 57.
Very good. That 42 out of the 57. As I said, Mr. Cham, different MPs have different eyes of seeing things.
Okay.
If, for example, I come with an eye of religion,
yes,
and I look into the draft constitution, I am not satisfied with the dictates, the provision that, talk to me about religion.
Exactly.
I must be allowed to bring up my opinion.
Okay.
So somebody who has a different eye shouldn't turn down and belittle me on my opinion. I can see that. Yes. Parliament is debate. I bring my opinion, you bring yours, we convince each other in the best interest.
So basically what we are saying is that, okay, all these arguments and expression of views are just ordinary parliamentary hula baloo, but it doesn't necessarily mean that actually that's how people are going to vote.
They don't want it. Very good. It will depend at the end of the day how we are going to be able to convince each other. Honorable, let me tell you, Mr. Cham, let me tell you one thing. I am also very much disappointed, and I will say this in the parliament, in the chambers, but I want the whole world to take it from here.
Okay.
You see, the draft constitution has given more power to the National Assembly, which I really appreciate. If I happen to come back in the parliament, I will be very happy to work in that condition. But let me tell you, as it is now, we have the worst and the weakest parliament in the Gambia, in the whole Africa.
Under the 1997 constitution.
Because under 1990, but even it is like that, it has created. You see, parliament, what is it said in the chambers? Chambers, you have what? Some will debate because they want public to pick them. Some will debate because they want somebody somewhere to see them. That's that. But parliament procedures requires caucus, requires lobbying to members, requires coaxing members to understand. A document like this, I can remember, let me tell you this, there was a time, there was an agreement that was brought to the National Assembly. We raised up that we didn't understand, we are going to kick it out. The whole government, with people that are not part of the government now, rose immediately to the members to call for a caucus and talk to us for us to understand and the importance of approving that agreement. I mean, a document like the draft constitution is in the parliament. Our authorities, the leaders, the minority leader and the majority leader, never have the guts to call a caucus to try to put all the members in one boat so that we can sail peacefully to cross the sea. But you want every member just to go and read and listen, do your own consultation and come to the National Assembly. My friend, this is the way the debate is going. That's how our authorities fail us, and that's how it's going to be. You know what I mean?
I see. So the chaotic nature of the debate is sending wrong signals. You think that if there had been caucuses,
it's sending wrong signal.
I mean, the languages would have been more diplomatic.
Very good. Thank you very much. I want you to take it from me. You see, everybody is just talking on the way you understand it.
I see. Okay.
I gave an example of a member who alleged the CRC of plagiarization, to go and cut from the Kenyan constitution. And it's true.
Yeah,
most of their provisions come from Kenyan constitution. But again, they have the right, they have the mandate to do that because they have given reference.
Yes.
If at all we had caucus and that issue has been brought up in the caucus, that senior MP that rectified in the chambers would have rectified that there. Then the member will now use professional way of arguing his points.
Okay,
but if I say something, and that's what I believe. You understand what I mean here?
Yeah,
so there is nobody. And then again, I want to, Mr. Cham, I want to talk to my colleagues there. He's very young. He knows parliamentary procedures. You don't put motives on people, because if you make me angry, I will never support what you want to do. Exactly. You know, don't put motive on people because you say, if for example, Saikouba says he's not going to support retroactive laws.
Yes.
Don't blame him and say you want to reject this because of Adam Barrow.
Because
no.
of President Barrow.
It is the constitution in the 1997 constitution that National Assembly members shouldn't pass a bill that is retroactive. So if Saikouba said that, it is my colleagues, my job as members now to talk to him in a way for him to understand.
Well, only that he mentioned President Barrow specifically in his speech, so he was more direct in supporting the president's agenda. Maybe, like you said, if there was a caucus, he only stopped at saying, okay, I will not support a law that is retroactive. People would have understood. But he specifically mentioned President Barrow, that he is not going to back anything that will confine Mr. Barrow to 2 terms, apart from this, including this one he's having. Well, Mr. Saikouba, Ceesay, apparently the way he's looking on his screen seems to have, either gone or having problems in connections. But Honorable Ceesay, I mean, after all, Honorable Jarjue is trying to tell us that perhaps the debate may sound chaotic and apprehensive, but that is parliamentary procedure. And, from what I understand, people will express their opinions loudly, there will be fears, but he doesn't think that the majority of the National Assembly members will throw this document out, because according to him, if that was their intention, they would only have stopped at just amending the 97 constitution, as was suggested to you people at the beginning of the process by a senior National Assembly member. But you guys said, look, you wanted a comprehensive review of the laws, you want a new constitution, so he didn't think that you will come back today and throw that away. Notwithstanding, of course, people have to express their reservations. And he said if there were caucuses, perhaps that would have been more decent. I mean, the rhetorics would have been more diplomatic, and the whole country wouldn't have been in this fear that these people are going to throw away our constitution. He made sense there, isn't it?
Well, very well. Like I said before, I think I did allude to some of these things that you are saying. I indicate to you that the proceeding of the National Assembly, of course, the second reading do allow for the National Assembly members to debate on the merit and the principle of the draft constitution, that is the bill before us. And that is exactly what we are doing. Every member who is speaking before that National Assembly regarding this constitution, the person is bringing issues of concern that he or she believes that are concerned to him or his people or her people. So I think it's what exactly I told you. But I also said to you that not everything that one is saying
that's right.
must be captured in that draft constitution. So my fear is, what of that concern that you are raising? If that is not captured, what will be your position now? To vote yes or no? This is my direction now. What if that concern is not amended, it's not changed? What is going to be your position?
Well, of course, from what he said, it may looks like the constitution will definitely go with those reservations unaddressed, naturally. So it's going to be give and take. There are portions you may disagree with and others you may agree with. So a compromise. But then I want you to have a general feeling from what I have got in the reactions of the large majority of people commenting on social media or on mainstream medias. The general feeling is that the majority of the Gambian people, just as the CRC would say, they really want this constitution to pass as it is. So opposing it, you guys risk going against the will and the aspiration of the people of the Gambia. And that's the last thing National Assembly members want to, isn't it?
Very well. But we must understand that, like I have seen on social media, some of the legal experts, I don't know whether they are legal experts or what, having said that the National Assembly members does not have the right whatsoever to change, even a punctuation, as long as the draft is concerned. That is misleading, obviously.
Okay.
Because the National Assembly, the 1997 Constitution empowers the National Assembly to set up their own rules, which we did. That is the standing order which is guiding the proceedings of the National Assembly.
Okay.
And standing order 62 and 76 indicate the entire procedure that we need to follow if a bill is tabled before the National Assembly.
Indeed.
And during the consideration stage of a bill, whatever the bill might be, that's where amendments can be made.
Yeah.
So obviously, the National Assembly members, they do have the right, they do have the powers to amend any bill that is brought before the National Assembly. Now, that's where your question will come in. Do we have to touch? But the Constitution already gave the power that we have the power to touch any clause or section of the Constitution or a bill.
Thank you, indeed.
But now the issue is the aspiration of the Gambians is what is embedded in that Constitution.
Yeah.
Do I really just have to touch the aspiration, the belief, the wisdom, and the mind of the Gambian people that are embedded in that Constitution? That's where the debate is now.
I see.
With me, despite my concern in that Constitution, if I believe that this is something when I thought will definitely undermine the will and the aspiration of the Gambian people, why not I allow it go? Because the people who elected me said this is what we want. Obviously, that is a simple task for me.
Fantastic. Well, there we have to wrap up. I'm sorry, Honorable Omar Ceesay of Nyamina East. Thank you very much for your sterling contributions, and also Saikouba Jarjue of Busumbala. And we also want to thank the Honorable Alhaji S. Dabo of Brikama South, I believe that is, who had tried, Brikama North, who had tried but was not successful to get through. And so was the Honorable Usman Silda of Banjul North, who also tried to get through but could not succeed because of connection problems. So to all of you, we thank you very much for being on the program. This is Lavin Cham with the Brunch, and until I come back your way again on Saturday, maybe perhaps I would have all these people in the studio in real life, and of course we would have at least passed some crucial stages in the debate to pass the draft constitution. Well, perhaps we'll have more to say when we come back next week. Until then, on behalf of the technical crew and everybody, thank you very much for watching us from wherever you are. Goodbye.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
Love like fire. Wow. Love like fire. Xam ngeen rek affaire bi xam ngeen fan la skincare la 2020 lañ wax de waaw fii nag mooy Kerr fan Kerr zero tache perfect skincare saa su ne rek niñ ko dee defee rek loo lañ soxlaati rek maanaam bu ngeen am problème ci seen skin yéen xam ngeen fan la fii ngeen di ñëw suma xarit yeeg am di jàmm yi nga xam ne taas daf lañ sonaloon xam nga doon xeesal ba la ka xum éneew ma lañ ko nag waaye just in case comme ni ko gars yi defee rek en cas just in case loolu xew xam ngeen fi ngeen di ñëw skincare plus si yu baax rek la ñoo dox nag ay baax rek fu ne la ñoo dem ci réew mi di lañ indi rek nag products yu baax du Paris du Italie du USA du fi mu nekk nii sax boole nañ ci nag Sweden fu nekk lañ leen a indilee products bu dee tamit nag da nga ñuul rek ñu lay jamaa natural beauty that melanin dripping we do have stuff for you as well emuñ si skincare products rek ñu ngi ci cuub yi tamit fu ne la ñoo jaar in fact sax last commercial bi ñu defoon waxuñ leen woon ne dañoo dox ci ay kawar 9A grade rek nag waaw we do have bundles as well hair si lu ne la ñoo dox ñun ñu ngi ci rafetal jigéen rek luy taaral jigéen rek waaw boo leen di tukki tamit bëggoon rek classic suitcase ñu dañoo dox ci ay Samsonite duñ dee indi any brand of suitcases though other than Samsonite comme li ma dee wax rek boo eggee airport dëri Samsonite dafa am nuñ laa xoolee waaw ngeen ne lan nag waaw skin ci moom la ñu gën a xamee nag skincare products ci moom la ñu gën a xamee ñu ngi dox tamit bentee tamit si ay dàlla man waaye man nag skincare mooy suma specialty xam nga rek jigéen bu sa xar kanam réglé loo def mu jag am nañ Patricia Reiner, Kiwi Eye, the whole range, Lighten Up Gold, Tomatine. I mean, the list can just go on and on and on and on. Lépp loo xam ne rek luy taaral jigéen la ci yooyu rek la ñoo dox. Skincare plus nag emuñ si Gambia rek ñu ngi United States ñu ngi Gambia fii ba pare bu dee yaa ngi anywhere in Europe mun nañ la ko mail within 3 days rek ñetti fan rek nga jot say diw emuñ si loolu rek dañ laa consult tamit balaa ñu laa jaay diw dinañ def a free consultation pour wax la rek exactly li nga xam ne moo méngoo ak sa kanam dinañ leen wax tamit ne rek
perfumes, fragrances, men's shirts, accessories. We do dresses as well. We do blouses. We do shoes. Name it, we do them. Skincare Plus 2020 is our year of perfection. Zero task. Fi mu nekk nii réew mi fii kenn waratu fi task. Kenn waratu fi am problème kanam. Kenn waratu fi am problème picture. Boo ko amee dafa fekk ne rek ñëwuloo ci place bi fii.
Love like fire. Bring my yobo good my fire. Love like fire.
Miss B Designer Outlet is the #1 quality and affordable stop shop for all your needs. Get your evening dresses, suit and ties, office wears for both ladies and gentlemen, beach wears, sport wears, pure leather shoes for men, quality belts, bags, heels for all beautiful ladies, original perfumes, accessories, and a lot more. Find us at Kololini Road opposite Gaddafi Mosque at the Aqua Preacher Station, or call us on 295-3411 or 764-2486. Miss B Designer Outlet. Shop right, look good.
Thank you.